There is a painful truth about relationships that many refuse to accept. The more you chase, the more they pull away. The more you beg for love, the more invisible you become. The more you try to prove your worth, the less valuable you seem. It's a frustrating cycle, one that leaves you exhausted, questioning your own value and wondering why your efforts are never enough. But what if the answer isn't in doing more, but in doing less? Buddhism teaches a profound lesson. Attachment leads to suffering. The tighter you hold on to something out of fear of losing it, the more it slips away. This applies to love, friendships, and every connection in life. Imagine holding water in your hands. If you squeeze too hard, it escapes through your fingers. But if you hold it gently, it stays. Relationships are no different. There was once a man deeply in love with a woman. He did everything to keep her, showered her with attention, sent endless messages, and went out of his way to please her. Yet, the more he tried, the more distant she became. One day, she walked away, leaving him heartbroken and confused. Desperate for answers, he sought guidance from a wise Buddhist monk. The monk listened to his story, smiled gently, and said, "Love is like the wind. Chase it, and it runs. But stand still, and it may come to you on its own." The man frowned. "But if I stop trying, won't I lose her forever?" The monk replied, "It is not about doing nothing. It is about becoming so complete within yourself that love is drawn to you effortlessly. Desperation pushes people away, but self-sufficiency pulls them in." This is where most people go wrong. They believe love is about proving something, about holding on tightly to make sure it never leaves. But love is not a chain. It is a flowing river. The more you try to trap it, the more it resists. So stop chasing, stop begging, stop trying to convince anyone of your worth. Instead, turn inward. Focus on yourself. Grow, heal, and become whole. Because the moment you no longer need someone to validate you, you become magnetic. When you let go of the fear of losing, you gain power. And that, my friend, is the key to reversing everything. Chapter 2. The Art of Being Indifferent. There is a silent force more powerful than words, gifts, or even love itself. Indifference. Not the cold, uncaring kind, but the quiet confidence of someone who does not seek approval, who is at peace, whether someone stays or leaves. Most people believe the key to love is effort, texting more, proving their worth, being available at all times. But have you ever noticed that the people who do the least often seem to be the most desired? The ones who are least attached, who do not over-explain, who do not chase, they command respect without even trying. This is the paradox of attraction. The moment you stop caring too much, others start caring more. There was once a prince who fell deeply in love with a woman from a distant land. He showered her with gold, wrote her the most beautiful poetry, and promised her the world. Yet, she remained unmoved. One day, exhausted by his endless pursuit, he stopped trying. He returned to his palace, focused on his duties, and no longer sought her attention. Suddenly, something changed. The woman, who had once been indifferent to his efforts, found herself thinking about him constantly. Why had he stopped chasing? Had she made a mistake? Why was he no longer desperate for her love? Overwhelmed by curiosity and unexpected longing, she sought him out. The lesson is simple. People want what they believe they cannot have. This does not mean playing games or manipulating emotions. It means shifting your focus from seeking love to embodying self-respect. The person who values themselves over another's approval is the one who holds true power in any relationship. But here's the problem. Most people do the opposite. When they feel someone slipping away, they panic. They overcompensate, send longer messages, ask more questions, and try to force a connection that is no longer natural. But in doing so, they lower their own value. They become predictable, overly available, and worst of all, easily taken for granted. Buddhism teaches the importance of non-attachment, a state where you give freely, but you do not cling. You love, but you do not beg. You care, but you do not depend. Because the truth is, no one is drawn to desperation. Neediness is heavy, it suffocates. But confidence, that is magnetic. So, let go. Not to punish, not to manipulate, but because you understand this, you are whole with or without them. And when you truly embrace this mindset, you will see how everything begins to shift in your favor. Chapter 3. The Power of Walking Away. Nothing disrupts a person's expectations more than your willingness to walk away. Not as a game, not as a manipulation, but as a reflection of your own self-worth. Most people in relationships operate from fear. The fear of losing someone, the fear of being alone, the fear of never finding love again. This fear keeps them trapped in situations where they tolerate disrespect, inconsistency, and emotional neglect. They believe that if they just try harder, love will be returned. But the hard truth is this: you cannot convince someone to value you. Walking away is not about giving up. It is about choosing yourself when someone else refuses to. There was once a woman named Aiko who deeply loved a man who never truly prioritized her. She always made excuses for his coldness, his lack of effort, his broken promises. She told herself, if I just show him how much I care, he will finally appreciate me. But appreciation never came. One day, after years of waiting, something in her shifted. She no longer felt angry or desperate, just tired. Tired of proving her worth, tired of chasing after love that never arrived. And so, without anger, without resentment, she simply walked away. At first, he did not notice. Then he felt relief. He thought he had finally freed himself from responsibility. But as time passed, a strange feeling crept in: regret. Why was she no longer chasing? Why was she no longer fighting for his love? He expected her to beg, to plead, to stay stuck in the cycle of proving herself. But she didn't, and that was the moment everything changed. Because when you walk away, you force others to make a choice. They either step up or they lose you forever. Most people never reach this point because they are too afraid. They stay in situations where they are undervalued, hoping that someday something will change. But nothing changes until you do. Buddhism teaches impermanence, the understanding that everything in life is fleeting. Love, like all things, cannot be controlled. And when you accept this, you gain power. So, if someone does not see your worth, if they keep you as an option, if they only value you when you're available, but ignore you when you need them, walk away. Not to punish them, but to honor yourself. Because the moment you truly let go, one of two things will happen. They will either chase after you, realizing what they have lost, or they will disappear completely, revealing that they were never truly meant for you. Either way, you win. Chapter 4. Becoming the one they can't ignore. When you stop begging, stop chasing, and stop being needy, something extraordinary happens. You become the person others cannot ignore. Think of the people you admire most. Are they the ones constantly seeking approval? Or are they the ones who seem completely at peace with themselves, moving through life with quiet confidence? In relationships, attraction is not about looks, money, or even love. It's about energy. People are drawn to those who radiate self-assurance, independence, and purpose. But most people make the mistake of putting their entire focus on someone else. They wait for a text. They analyze every small interaction. They live in a constant state of uncertainty, hoping that someday the person they want will finally give them the attention they crave. This is why they remain stuck. Buddhism teaches that true happiness comes from within, not from external validation. The moment you start seeking fulfillment outside of yourself, you give away your power. But when you shift the focus inward, when you stop needing someone to complete you, you naturally become more attractive. There was once a young man named Haru who spent years chasing after a woman who never truly valued him. He was always available, always waiting, always hoping. One day, after another rejection, he finally had enough. Instead of drowning in self-pity, he made a decision. He would become the best version of himself, not for her, not to prove anything, but because he realized he had been neglecting his own life. He started pursuing his passions. He took care of his body, his mind, and his spirit. He built a life so fulfilling that he no longer felt the need to chase anyone. And then something unexpected happened. The woman who had once ignored him suddenly became curious. She noticed his absence. She saw his confidence. And for the first time, she found herself drawn to him, not because he was chasing, but because he had become someone worth chasing. This is the secret. People don't value those who beg for their attention. They value those who are too focused on their own growth to beg at all. So, if you want to reverse everything, stop waiting, stop hoping, stop chasing. Instead, build a life that is so rich, so fulfilling, so powerful, that people have no choice but to notice. Because when you truly master this mindset, you will never have to chase love again. It will find you naturally, effortlessly, and on your terms.